Welcome to Horrid and Vicious, a true crime podcast. I'm Coda.
And I'm Candy.
And this is episode 11, the Lululemon murder.
Yes, alright. So, to start off with our trigger warnings, we've got murder, sexual assault, and I just threw this in there. I don't know if it counts, but manipulation. I thought that might trigger some people.
Yeah.
So, there's that. Also,
that's a good one.
It's like potential, like, there's robbery stuff going on in this. I don't know if that's like one either, just in case.
That's
I just
like
want to say it just in case.
If you've been somewhere that's been robbed, that's traumatic, I think.
Exactly, yeah. That's kind of what my thought process was with that, too.
I mean, I do watch people steal things on a pretty much daily basis, but a robbery is a little bit different than somebody just, like, walking out of a cart of merchandise, you know?
Yeah.
Walking out with
there's
a
a difference.
Yeah.
So, on March 12th of 2011, it started off as a very normal day for Rachel, who was a manager for the Lululemon store in Bethesda, Maryland, and she went there to open the store for the day. However, she arrived to find the door unlocked. So she started out really upset because why would the closing manager leave the store unlocked? And when she walked in, she noticed that the entire store was in disarray. Things were knocked over and clothing was strewn about, and even more concerning was the blood and bloody footprints that were tracked around. She tried to call out for anyone in the store, but all she heard coming from the back was like a low moaning. So she ran out of the store, where there was a huge crowd waiting outside of the Apple store next door, because the day before, the iPad 2 had just been released. If that doesn't take you back,
I was going to say, that puts me right at the time of this. Wow. Oh my god.
Yeah, iPad 2 literally just came out.
That's crazy to think about how fast technology has progressed.
I mean, and that was huge. And, like, they had a line, out the door.
People were camping.
Everywhere.
People were camping out for the iPad 2, for real.
And then when she ran out there, obviously, like, people were like, what the heck? And sitting on a bench nearby was a guy named Ryan, who saw how distraught she was, and he kind of offered to help her. While she was outside, he went into the Lululemon store and started looking through the scene just to see if there was anybody who needed help, because that's what Rachel was worried about, but also she was terrified. In the back hallway, he saw what he thought was like a man laying on the floor, not moving. And then when he didn't get super close because he was kind of freaked out, but he saw this like face down body. And then when he was going back towards the front again, he saw in the bathroom that there was another body kind of near the bathroom door with her hands zip tied and above her head and her leggings ripped at the crotch. So he went back outside and he told Rachel what he saw, which she told police when she called 911. She loved her job and her employees, and she referred to them as her girls. So when she talked to the police, she told them, "I'm scared one of my girls is hurt."
Oh.
When the police arrived at the scene, they found a woman in the bathroom, as expected, named Brittany Norwood, and she was still breathing. But when they got to the back hallway, what they found wasn't a man, but a woman's body that had been completely brutalized. It was Jana Murray, who was lying on the floor with no pulse. Her face was also, like, completely unrecognizable, is what I heard in one thing.
Oh, that's terrible. So, I hate hearing
so they had, like, a
faces.
hunch of who it was based on, you know, like, Rachel knew who was supposed to close that night, and Brittany kind of talked to police after they got her out of there because she was still alive. And then also they found some of her belongings. So, like, they believed it was her, but they had to, like, prove it was her sort of thing. So they did at one point, but at first, like, they couldn't technically identify her because her face was so messed up.
And that's always so, like, terrible to hear. Or, like, when they find remains and it's bones, so there's really no identifying features. That just makes me really sad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And then Brittany was rushed to the hospital. She was covered in wounds, like these cuts all over, and she had a gash on her head, but overall she was doing all right medically. She was able to be interviewed soon, and she told the police about the events of the night in gruesome detail. Brittany told them that they had closed up the store normally, And then when she was headed to the metro to go home, she realized that she had left her wallet with her metro card in the store. So she called Jaina, who returned with her to unlock the store and help her look for her wallet. And then they searched, but they couldn't find it. And when they were headed towards the front of a store, they were ambushed by two men, one short and one tall, both wearing all black and ski masks. The taller man attacked Jaina as the shorter one attacked Brittany, and Brittany was forced to empty the register and the safe for them. She then says that she was dragged by her hair to another room where the man with her zip-tied her, threatened her, and raped her. She also shared that he had then come back with a wooden clothes hanger and sexually assaulted her with it for a prolonged time. And while this was going on, she could hear Jaina being attacked in the other room until the screaming and the begging faded into nothing. Brittany said that the entire time the two men were spewing racial slurs and calling her a slut. And then while she was in the hospital, Brittany asked how her friend was doing, and the police kind of evaded the question, telling her that they weren't sure yet because they hadn't been to see her, sort of thing.
Which is something that detectives and police often do, just in case.
Because I mean, when somebody's gone through something like that, then finding out
and
that
they're going to be interrogated
anyway. It would just shock you even worse, sort of thing.
Right, and again, they're going to interrogate people anyway, so they need to leave things open-ended just in case people incriminate themselves, accidentally or not, which is why if you are innocent, guilty, whatever, you gotta get a lawyer, because
if you're guilty, don't get a lawyer.
Yeah, I mean, if you're guilty, obviously don't get a lawyer, but like legally you are entitled to one, so you know. But if you're innocent, definitely ask for a lawyer. They have to stop all questioning when you request a lawyer, and then you know.
Yeah, people always say it doesn't look good to get a lawyer, but at the same time,
no, but
better to have your reputation tarnished a little bit than to go to jail for something you didn't do.
Exactly, because these questions that detectives and police can ask can be very, like, mentally puzzling, because it's supposed to trip you up, because they need answers, and they're going to do anything that they can to get answers. So, anyway.
Yeah, all right. So I just want to go over a little bit of stuff about both of these women. At the time of the attack, Brittany was 29 years old, and she had only been working at the store for about a month. She was extremely athletic, and she was previously on the Stony Brook University's women's soccer squad. One of her former teammates from a team in Seattle referred to Brittany as a great, funny, nice girl and a good soccer player. One source I saw said that she had a push-up competition with a customer in that month that she's been working there, and she won that competition.
I can't even.
So she was just kind of like funny. You know, like I think if I saw, like, if I had worked there and seen like my coworker like have this like, it would be funny.
That would be really funny. I would love to see that, honestly. It is fun to see, like, retail people being able to be, like, actual people. Yeah. Because when you're trained, you kind of have to act like a robot of customer service. But the customers that, like, get that you're a person and, like, do silly stuff with you, those are the best customers.
Exactly. She had just interviewed for a position at a new job, actually, that was kind of more focused on the athletic side of things rather than the clothing that you wear for the athletics. And she was planning on going to that job soon. And while she was in the hospital, she told the police that once she recovered, she would be moving to that job. And
good
Jaina,
for her, I guess.
Yeah, Jaina was 30 years old. On the day of her murder, she had uploaded a YouTube video showing how to make cherry blossom decorations out of tulle.
Oh, that's so cute.
From what I saw in the video, it looked like she might have been at work doing it. It was like cute, like I think maybe she was making it as decorations for the store.
Yeah, like maybe they were having like a spring sale event or something.
Yeah,
and she was just making something pretty, because my managers do that all the time.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it was her in the video because they didn't show the face really. It might have just been like one of the other coworkers or something. Either way, it was uploaded by her.
Right.
And it was just like a cute thing. I thought it was adorable.
I think that's cute.
And Jaina was known to love animals, loved dancing, loved traveling, and she loved life. She studied in Madrid for some time, and she was pursuing pursuing 2 master's degrees in communication and business administration at Johns Hopkins University. And
that's incredible.
I did see something saying she might have already had like 1 master's in something else and stuff. Like she was so accomplished. She would like traveled the world in this time. I mean, she's only 30 years old and she had been like all over and she had done so much and she just loved being alive. And at her 30th birthday before this happened, she had gone bungee jumping. Like she was just this super fun, energetic, incredible person, it seems like.
Yeah, she was wild. I love her.
And then she was loved dearly by her parents and her 2 brothers, and she loved them in return. Shortly before her death, she had been talking to some of her friends about sending a care package to her brother. And when he learned about that, he kind of started searching for it. And after visiting for her funeral, he went back to his home in Iraq, which is the address that he had given her. And that's where the care package was. So she had it sent to him. And he got it after she died.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah. Like a heartbreaking reminder of that.
Right. But it's also like a silver lining of like like a reminder of them, you know. And it's which is a bittersweet thing when something like this happens. Mm-hmm. But
well, it's such a hard thing because then like you're getting that package and you're thinking like of how much she must have loved him, sort of thing.
Right.
But then also thinking, and now she's gone, sort of thing. Right. So it's just so hard.
And for the family members, they can be like, oh my gosh, like, I feel like she's here with me, you know, but at the same time, it's like this horrible thing happened to her. So it's a really bittersweet thing. Some people take those circumstances better than others. Some people have a really hard time with reminders of loved ones who have passed. So
my thing is, like, I like to have them, but then also when I look at them, I will cry.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I don't think I've gone in the garage to look at my grandpa's car or motorcycle in literal months. So, I don't know.
Real. So the Lululemon store didn't have their own cameras, but the Apple store next door did. So then police looked through their CCTV, and they were able to see 2 men walk past, dressed in all black on the night of the murder. They put out the information about this for the public as they searched for these 2 men. They thought that the perpetrators might come back to the scene, so they staked it out. And sure enough, 2 men, one short and one tall, showed up near the store that evening. Except these men were not savage killers. They were busboys at a nearby restaurant who were walking to work, just as they had the other night. And they were wearing all black because that was the color of their uniform. And their alibis were confirmed by their employer. They were at work. Like, they were seen going that way, but then they went to work. So there's no way that they could have been in the Lululemon store.
Thank God doing for that.
But, you know, it's kind of hard because they were like, we found the guys. And then it's like, oh, never mind. They have alibis.
But still, for them, it's good because the busboys. Yeah. Because at least they're not going to jail or getting interrogated because their boss was like, no, I literally was with them all night.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they, like, did have to, like, get interrogated first before they had their alibis fully confirmed, because they probably did, but I didn't see, like, a whole bunch of information about that other than their alibis got confirmed, so.
Right.
They were just going to work. That was the direction to get to work.
They're just on the grind.
Yeah.
Getting bread.
And then the police questioned the Apple employees from the night of the murder to see if they could have seen or heard anything useful, which they had. So, since the new iPad had just been released, not only were they working late, but they even had a security guard on staff. The 2 managers at Apple that evening had not only heard the commotion next door, but they had gone over to the wall to hear it better.
What?
After listening for several minutes until the noises stopped, they went back to work.
Why would you not call 911?
That's a great question, especially when you consider what one of the managers remembers hearing. So one of the managers, Jana, said that she heard women's voices, and she heard someone saying, "Talk to me, don't do this, talk to me, what's going on?" And then they heard screaming and yelping sounds, which eventually faded, and they heard a voice saying, "God help me, please help me." So they literally heard someone calling for help.
So Why
And then
would
they
you
returned to work,
not?
and
Why
the other
would
manager
you-
who was also listening at the wall with her, Ricardo, he stated that what was going on next door was just drama.
No.
And the security guard, he didn't
No.
listen in because he was listening to music on his iPod.
Not what a security guard should be doing
I know.
on the clock.
He
I
was
feel like
oblivious.
these people need to be reprimanded at the very least, because how do you hear that and not
Yeah,
call 911?
and if you just hear the first part that's like, talk to me, like,
right.
you're just like, okay, they're just like getting into an argument. But you hear screaming and help me, God help me, please help me. And you are like, oh, it's
Just
just
ignore it.
Just some drama? Like, what do you mean? And like,
Why would you
can't
not call
imagine it.
911?
And basically everybody who lives in this like little town was like horrified by this when it came out. They were like,
Yeah.
so I saw one that it said one of the residents there said that Steve Jobs would not have liked that or something along those lines. Just basically like,
Steve Jobs
I think
would
Steve
not
Jobs would
approve
be
of this.
disappointed in these Apple employees.
That's so real. But
I thought
no,
that was funny that
seriously,
they're bringing like him into it.
how, I don't want to use this word because I don't want to sound mean, but how stupid do you have to be to hear something like that and just go, nah,
It was enough to
drama.
make them like think, oh, something's going on, we should go listen. They didn't
They were
think to at
nosy
least
enough.
like look over in the window or something. Like you didn't even think to
They-
at least look. Like even if you thought it was like just some drama, what's the harm in
They were
trying to get
nosy
help?
enough to listen. You can't tell me one
well,
of them
and they didn't just
wanna
listen
go
for a
watch
second.
it
They listened for
for the whole thing.
yeah, basically the entire time.
And then they see cops there, like the literal next day, and they're like, sorry, iPhone 2, too busy, can't. Like, what? Like,
Yeah. So, like I said, they didn't call the police.
I would be so. I am so upset.
I
Why
think,
would you not?
yeah, it's
Even just
everybody's
to be
upset
safe.
with them. Like
Even just to be
everybody's
safe.
mad at them.
Even just to be safe. Why would you not call? Because, like, let's say it was just some petty drama, and you call 911, and those people get mad at you for interrupting their drama with cops. That's fine, because then everybody's fine.
Yeah.
They're mad, but they're fine.
Yeah. And like you work in a thing. If that was happening in your store, would you not call the police? Like if you thought it was like if there were people
Immediately.
yelling
If there was
and having an
something
argument
happening
in your
like
store,
that
you would call the police. If it was a customer,
at the
you would do
Taco
it.
Bell across the street and people were talking about it, even if I didn't know about it, somebody would, from my store, realistically call. Because,
Mm-hmm.
yes, we're nosy, but we don't want anybody to get hurt. And, like, if you're
Exactly.
hearing people scream and
It's only
beg for
okay to be
help,
nosy if you are actually going to do something good with it.
Exactly. Like when we were at McDonald's and we saw that hit and run.
Oh my god.
We were going to record it, but the person in front of us who had like a better angle was recording it, so it got recorded. So there's documented evidence of this hit and run with the license plate of the person that hit and ran.
Oh my god.
One person was recording and the other one was on the phone, and this was at McDonald's. So, a mall security guard at the very least probably shouldn't have headphones in, but if you're working late night and you hear some shit like that,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter where you're at.
And like
Call
the
911.
walls are so thin. Like they heard it without going over to the wall. They just went over to the wall to hear it better. Like, and there's literal screaming.
And they're not calling 911.
Like
So,
if there's literal
stupid.
screaming, you're like, oh, it's just some drama. If there's literally like screaming bloody murder going on for like at least like 10 minutes, like you're not gonna do anything about that? That doesn't make sense.
You're not
to
gonna
me.
say anything? Like, I don't know.
Just
I
some
feel
drama,
like
dude. Somebody's dying.
I feel like I would have called 911 and walked over there because, like, what the hell is going on over there, you know? Like,
I don't know what I necessarily would have done, right? Because I've
what
never been in
goes
this situation.
through, you never
but
know, but
you know what I
like,
think
what
about
goes through
is
these people's heads?
yeah. What I just thought about was when I had loud neighbors, I would bang on the wall, be like, "Shut the fuck up," because it was the middle of
And
the
let
night
them
and I was
know
trying
that
to
you're
sleep.
listening.
So
Yeah.
if that was happening, at the very least, they could have like banged on the wall so she knew that they were there. You know,
Right.
like I don't know. I just feel like they could have done anything more than just listen and then
Literally.
walk away and not care and continued counting their tills as if nothing had ever happened.
And the security guard was on his fucking
and then, like,
iPod
at the very least,
with
it should
his
have been, like,
headphones
reported in some way, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, we heard some weird sounds. No.
It's like the next day when they saw literal police there, they could have been like, hey.
Yeah, I don't think that they said anything until they were asked.
So stupid.
Literally. But, one of the detectives started to see some holes in this story because Jana was brutally bludgeoned. She was suffering over 330 injuries that could be counted.
Jesus.
Some that couldn't be counted because there were wounds on top of wounds. And on the other hand,
God.
other than the gash on her head, Brittany only had superficial wounds that could have been self-inflicted. And while Brittany recounted a horrific rape with a wooden hanger, the rape kit done at the hospital didn't show any damage or any male DNA or anything. That's not wholly conclusive because, you know, sometimes there's not damage, but with a wooden hanger, you'd think there would be. Yeah. Maybe not with a penis, but with a wooden hanger.
Definitely.
It just doesn't seem right. All of Jana's wounds were caused by items from inside the store, including part of a merchandise rack, a knife and a hammer from a toolbox in the store, a box cutter, and a rope that was tied around Jana's neck. What kind of robbers and murderers don't bring their own weapons? Like, how were they planning on robbing a place without weapons? And if you're planning on robbing a place, why would you stay there that long? Exactly how would they know where everything is? They seem to know the layout really well. How'd they find all these items?
And I don't think that people are staking out Lululemon stores to rob. The Apple store, maybe.
And this is after close, so they shouldn't have been, if there were people coming to rob the store, they wouldn't have been expecting anyone to be there because nobody should have been there.
Right.
So then why would they then take extra time, prolonged time, raping and murdering these women?
Right.
Right?
Right.
And then the descriptions of these men are so intense. They're the worst of the worst people. Racists, robbers, murderers, rapists. So the detective thought it seems really improbable for there to be not one, but two of these worst of the worst people. And even if there are, why would they leave one of the women alive and not the other? Not to mention, if they're these racists, the woman that they killed was the white woman. And the black woman, Brittany, was alive. And then Brittany also said that Jana's car had been parked right out front in a no parking zone at the time when she came back to unlock the doors and search for the wallet. Yet the car was found somewhere else. When they searched Jana's car, they found both Jana's and Brittany's blood in it, which would make sense if an attacker had moved the car, except that they found a baseball cap with just Brittany's blood, and the blood was along the inside, right about where that big gash would have been.
Oh, no.
There were also only 2 pairs of footprints found in the store. A smaller pair, which matched to Brittany, and a larger pair of men's shoes that matched to a pair found on a shelf in the store. So then they're wondering, did one of the men take off his own shoes and wear these shoes from the store to conceal it? But then where are the other man's footprints? Wouldn't they be in the blood as well? It makes sense for Jana's footprints not to be there because she's the reason there's blood everywhere. She wasn't walking around in it.
Right.
But it's just not adding up. Where's the second man's footprints? And also, what kind of person goes to rob a place and expects all of the things they need inside? Why would he start using a pair of shoes that was already there?
And also, why would Brittany's footprints be there and not?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that was more or less
she
that
was
she
dragged,
got... Well,
like
so
she
says that she got moved. She had to go take everything out of the safe and stuff, and that was like as this was going on. So
I was thinking about the part where she said that they dragged him, and I'm like, dragged her, and I feel like that's just...
Another thing, with her wrist zip tied together, she wasn't tied to anything. They were just zip tied together. So there was nothing keeping them above her head in this uncomfortable position except for her own will.
So she was holding her hands above her head?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh,
Yeah.
but what the hell?
None of this was, like, enough yet. So they kind of had to prove it still. But it was just all off enough for them to actually start looking into it. At first, they were like, no way. It couldn't be. Like, this girl went through this horrific thing. No way. But then they're like, let's look into this a little more. And they see all of these inconsistencies. And then it all starts to click even more into place because they discovered that Brittany had a history of theft, which it seems like nobody right now necessarily knew about yet. But they kind of found out about that through, like, looking into it. And she had lost friends. She had lost jobs over her thieving. One of her best friends cut her off and called her a klepto. And then when she was on her soccer teams, people on her team would warn new people that were added to the team to keep their lockers, like, locked up really tight because they knew that she would steal from them. And she was accused of stealing from a different Lululemon store previously. And it turns out...
they still hired her.
I don't think that they knew. She like, left that out, you know?
Oh, well...
And I mean, it wasn't, like, criminally charged. Like, she was just, like, fired from there. I think she had worked there, and that they just fired her. They didn't, like, pursue any action, which is usually what they do with employee things like that, unless it's a really, really big sum of money.
But I feel like they should, because, like, why would you want somebody to work for you that's going to steal from you, you know?
Well, that's the thing. That's why they fire them. But the thing is, she just, like, left that off her resume when she went to the new one.
Oh, okay. So they couldn't even ask.
Yeah, they didn't know. If they had known, they wouldn't have done it, I think. And it turns out that she was actually stealing from her current store as well. And her managers, like, knew about it, but they didn't have any proof. But things were only going missing during her shifts. Right. But they didn't have cameras.
Should have.
Yeah, well, since they didn't, they probably did after this, but since they didn't at the time, the only way they could take action would be if they, like, caught her in the act. So the managers all knew they, like, needed to be aware of that. So police, as they kind of have this all figured out, they talk to her again, and she recounts her entire story, almost word for word, almost as if it's rehearsed. And they knew that they needed to, like, catch her in a lie somehow. So then she decides to come back with her siblings coming to the police station, and she wants to tell them about something she forgot. And it helps them to figure out the truth, because she said she forgot that the men had forced her to move Jaina's car so that it wouldn't be found right away. And they asked her, why didn't you just leave or, like, go to the police station? And she claimed that the men had known her address, and she was just terrified. But if they knew her address and they had some, like, premeditated plan for her specifically, why was Jaina the one who was dead? And if they knew her address, they knew all this stuff about her, they had no way of knowing that she was going to come back to the store.
Why wouldn't
so
they at
it just doesn't make sense.
That makes no sense. And what
it
is
just
it
doesn't
with these
add
people
up.
coming back to the police station to give more information?
It's so funny.
If you're not being detained, why would you go back?
Well, because they started to point out to her, like, well, Jaina's car has your blood in it. It has this stuff in it, but it was also found in a different place. It's just weird. So she was like, I just need to go home for now. And then she calls, or, like, she had her siblings call. I couldn't tell from the articles. It seemed like it was her siblings that might have called. But they were like, she forgot something. We're going to come back. Because she remembered something and wants to tell you. And she was trying to dig herself out of the hole, but she was just digging it deeper.
But that's why I'm saying, like, why would you
stupid.
go back? That's when you leave, get a lawyer, and then come back. Or the next time they interview you, you have a lawyer. Like, you're entitled to legally. People don't be listening to their Miranda rights. They really do not.
After she goes through this, again, fake story, the detectives finally cut to the chase, and they told her that they no longer believed her. And they stated all of the things that just didn't make any sense. And as she's crying, they tell her, no one is going to believe this story. One of the police officers was literally saying, like, your brother's not going to believe the story. Your sister's not going to believe the story. Your parents are going to think this is bullshit. Yeah, I watched the video. It was so, like, the way he was saying it, I was like, damn, get her.
Police did that with the, Linda Riley?
Yeah, with J.
Her
Roth.
case, yep, with J. Roth, they did that. They were telling him, like, your son is going to be really disappointed in you. Like, your son knows you're better than this. Your son knows you wouldn't do this. Your son knows something. Like, they were really using his son to get
I think what they were trying to get from
confession.
her, they were saying that no one's going to believe what she's trying to say. They're like,
right,
no
so
one's going to believe you. You're saying crazy stuff. Like, it doesn't make sense, Brittany.
It's that tactic, but sometimes they go for the, like, if you did this, then there must have been something that made it to where you had to do this, because you're a good person. You wouldn't normally do this. They do that, dude, sometimes, which is what they did with J. Roth. It didn't sound like
they did that from what I saw. I couldn't find a video of, like, the full interrogation, so I only saw some clips of it. Her. They just were, like, digging into her with it.
They just roasted her.
Well, and then when that doesn't work, she's just crying. They were like, okay, let's say the same things, all of these inconsistencies, but let's bring her siblings in and say it in front of them so we can get their reactions. And she can see their reactions, sort of thing. So they bring her siblings in, and they go over the inconsistencies again. And her sister, Marissa, like, breaks down and she leaves. But her brother, Chris, was like, she never would do that. Can we have a minute alone? So they give them a few minutes alone in the room. And as an interrogation room, obviously I told you I've seen clips of it. They have cameras.
They have cameras.
It's 2011.
Recording, literally
Lululemon
everywhere.
might not have had cameras, but this place has cameras. And I think
that
her brother, like, one thing I saw said that he claimed that he looked and didn't see cameras or something, and he said that to her. I didn't hear that in the clip that I saw, but somebody said it.
Sometimes they don't realize that there's hidden cameras. Yeah. Like, I don't see any cameras. Like, okay, you're still being recorded. Yeah. Like, it's an interrogation room. Are you stupid or are you dumb?
I watched this clip. The police get up and walk out, and almost right after they leave the room, her brother Chris says, "You need to tell me right now, did you do it?" And she responds, "I just want to go home." So he tells his sister, "I'm not going to fucking rat you out, but you need to tell me so I know how to talk to these guys." That's a direct quote, by the way.
Damn.
And then he tells her about how they're going to need a lawyer and the media is going to have a shitstorm, is what he says. And he says again to her, "You need to tell me right now if you did." Well, and she's like, "I just don't want to talk about it here."
Why don't you want to talk about it in front of the cameras?
Yeah, and I couldn't find a clip about it, but a few of the things I like listened to in podcasts, I couldn't find it in articles either. It's just what I heard in podcasts, so I don't know how true it is. But they were saying that after this, when the clip cut off, because I couldn't find more of it, they were saying that he started talking about, "I didn't see any cameras, we can talk about it," and she was just like, "Oh, I don't know, I don't think we should," sort of thing. But basically with them saying that all on camera, the police were like, "Okay, we can arrest her with this." Like, and her brother was like, they're really convincing. Like, I know that I wasn't acting convinced when the police were in the room, but that was really convincing. Sort of thing. So, like, it's
like, they sound right, so you need to tell me what's going on right now.
What is terrible about that is that he was trying to help her with it. Like, if one of my siblings did that, I'd be like, especially with how brutal it was, I'd be like, "I don't even know you." Maybe I might, you know what? Maybe I might pretend just to get them to tell me. And then I would turn around. Like, maybe he was going to do that. I don't know. But it seems like he did try to protect her. I don't know. Girl, listen, she don't need no protecting. She's crazy.
She could protect herself, apparently. I just don't think that, like, I don't know. I really just don't understand why you can sit there and defend your family member that did something like this. Like, literally. That's like one of the worst things you can do.
No, like, it's genuinely psychotic too. Like, Brittany was unrecognizable.
So, like, I understand. Like, your sister steals something, maybe you'll cover for her.
Yeah, that part. But
your sister murders somebody,
and not just like self-defense. Really quick thing happened and you murdered, like, you killed somebody, but, like, you literally just, like, brutally murdered this woman.
I'm not trying
and then
to
tried to cover it up and lied and said that you were raped with a clothes hanger.
I'm not trying to get Jimmy Hoffa, so I'm just not. I'll tell you to get a lawyer. That's probably it.
Yeah, well, after she was arrested, the police were able to kind of start piecing together what actually happened that night. So on the evening of March 11th, 2011, Brittany and Jaina had closed the store together. Jaina had noticed Brittany taking a pair of leggings, and she knew she was supposed to be on the lookout for any stealing from her since they already suspected it. So she confronted her momentarily, and Brittany claimed to have already bought them with another manager. So Jaina called that other manager, and she was like, "Is this true?" And the other manager was like, "No." But then Jaina was like, "I'm not going to handle this all by myself right now." So she was going to report it probably the next day, I think. I don't know. She's not allowed to tell me, unfortunately. But they closed the store. She's not, like, firing her. I don't think she has the power. She's not, like, the main manager, you know?
Right.
But she basically was like, okay, we'll deal with this later. They closed the store. They're heading home. Just like Brittany said, except she didn't actually forget her wallet inside. She lured Jaina back to the store, saying that she forgot her wallet. So then they go back inside, and Brittany kind of starts an argument with her, and then begins attacking her with anything that she can find in the store, which is why it's just all these random-ass objects from inside of the store. And Jaina's begging for her to stop and for help. The attack went on for around 20 minutes, according to forensics experts,
and the Apple
based on the
wounds. The Apple employees just sat there listening.
Exactly. And they were at the wall for at least, 9 minutes of it, is what one thing said.
That boggles my mind. I literally cannot understand why you would listen to that and then not say anything. Mm-hmm. I understand that it's hard to know what you're going to do in a situation like that. Mm-hmm. But at the very least, if you're hearing somebody scream and beg for help, why would you not get help? What the hell?
Exactly. Even if you ignore the rest of it, the, begging for help, then you know it's a problem. You know it's not just drama. Someone's begging for help.
I feel like if you do that, maybe you should get community service or something.
Well, and the worst part of this is they could have saved her by getting help, because Jaina was alive for all of those wounds until the very last one, which was a 3-inch stab into her skull. And that's when the screaming stopped. And when she stopped, that is when Brittany finally stopped attacking her, because she was dead now. So she was alive up until that last wound. She could have potentially been saved up until that point. Oh. And her leggings were also ripped like Brittany's were, but in a very precise manner, not frenzied, because it was done trying to make it look like she was sexually assaulted, even though she hadn't been. And when Brittany was stabbing Jaina, she pulled up with so much force that she hit herself in the forehead, which is what caused the gash.
Oh my God.
Because it was closer to the center of her forehead, whereas if you're getting attacked, it probably would have been on the sides.
Wow.
And
That's
then
terrible.
Brittany realized that Jaina was parked in a tow-away zone, so she moved her car, and then she sat in the car for almost an hour. And the car was actually seen by an officer on patrol, because they noticed this parked car with lights on and a passenger inside in the middle of the night, but they didn't know what she had just done and that they would need to be worried. And Brittany sat there for almost an hour coming up with her story. And then she went back to the store to make it seem like a man had been there. And she put on those size 14 shoes, tracking bloody footprints throughout the store. She made cuts all over her own body, even her back, all parallel, a sign of being self-inflicted. She ripped up her own leggings and zip-tied herself, and posed herself on the floor with her hands above her above her head, waiting there until morning to be found. On January 27th of 2012, Brittany was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for first-degree murder. Despite it not being planned way in advance, she still made a plan to lure and murder Jaina, spent 20 minutes brutalizing her, and then spent even more time concocting a story and covering it up, making herself appear a victim.
And that is first degree.
Yeah, she, during her interviews, turned the waterworks on and off, but was never truly remorseful for her actions. And she took the life of a beautiful, intelligent, and amazing woman over a pair of leggings that she probably could have gotten a discount on because she was an employee. And she didn't even need to worry about losing her job for getting caught stealing because she had another job that she was lined up for. And it was going to pay her more. It's so
crazy to me. It's so crazy to me that she would do that. First of all, like you said, you can get a discount on the leggings.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what their discount policies are for employees, but most places have a discount for employees.
But also, it's a pair of leggings.
It's leggings.
You can just go to a different Lululemon and steal a different pair of leggings.
Yeah.
And it seems like she was a really cool manager, so why?
Yeah, I mean, I'll send you pictures, but this was such a beautiful, smart woman. And how incredible. I mean, I couldn't confirm where all she traveled to, but some things were saying that she had traveled literally all over the world. Like, she had been to every continent except for Antarctica. Like, she went all over. Obviously, she studied in Madrid for a while. Like, she's been there. She's been to so many places. She had accomplished so much to be cut short over fucking leggings.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you wouldn't even get arrested for stealing leggings.
No, I don't think they were planning on pursuing anything. They were probably just going to fire her and call it a day.
And even if they didn't fire her, they might have, like, written her up.
Right. Like, and she had a new job lined up. So she didn't need to worry about losing her job. She had a new job lined up. She was going to make more money.
She was going to quit anyway, wasn't she?
She was literally leaving.
Oh my god. A pair of leggings.
Over leggings.
Like, the most basic ass leggings, too. By the way, can I just say that? Like, that's so basic.
They're like a luxury brand. Like, they're considered.
Which is why they're basic.
And people, I've never had a pair, but I've heard people say that they're very comfortable, sort of thing, and they're very good.
Not
I don't
worth
think it
murder.
Matters to me. I'm happy with Amazon leggings. Like, I'm happy with cheap leggings. I'm happy with cheap anything. I don't care.
Thrifting. I'm a thrifter.
I wouldn't thrift leggings. People work out on those.
I don't wear leggings, but
I wouldn't. I wouldn't want secondhand for that. Just like I would never buy secondhand. Like, I would never buy secondhand underwear. Like, that's how I feel about leggings, because they are athletic clothing, and that's where your privates are.
Yeah, I don't wear leggings, so I bought a pair of leggings off Amazon, thermal ones for cosplaying. Oh my god! Because I live in a cold environment.
I had thermal leggings just for winter because they're nice.
Oh, I started wearing them in the winter under everything that I wore.
When I worked at Starbucks, I would wear leggings underneath my jeans to go to work because it would be freezing, like in the winter, because it was too cold to just wear jeans. But also, like, jeans are what you are supposed to wear when you work there.
I mean, technically I'm supposed to wear jeans, but I see, like, the majority of my coworkers wearing sweatpants. So
I just wear
sometimes
these,
I do too, I'm not gonna lie.
I bought these, like, they called them sweatpants on Amazon, but they're literally, like, they're baggy, but they're like legging material almost.
I would wear something like that.
But they're super thin and pretty comfortable. I wear them, like, all the time. Those are, like, my everyday pants. You should send me the link, actually. I don't even know I bought them. I bought them because I didn't want to do laundry once a couple years ago. And I was like, I can get these to come in. I was like, I can get these to come in today, and then I don't have to do laundry.
That's so real.
So that I could wear them to work.
Laundry is just, like,
I wouldn't have done it if it was, like, a regular thing, but I literally just needed something to wear to work, and I was too lazy to do laundry. And I was like, I can order these.
Laundry is difficult sometimes, because, like, it's so many steps. Does that make sense?
Well, and normally if I get something even, like, from Amazon and it's supposed to be brand new, normally I'll still wash it. But that day, I was the laziest ever. I was like, it's cleaner than my dirty clothes.
You're so real for that. You're so real for that.
I just was not having it that day.
It's okay.
It worked out. If I can find the link, I'll send it to you. But I don't know. It was a while back.
Okay.
Might have been on my... Because I used to share my Amazon with my dad.
So I'm not going to get mad that I can't access these leggings.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're just leggings.
You aren't going to kill over it?
Thank God. I'm not. I don't think leggings are what... the things that people kill over are so stupid sometimes.
I feel like I thought that me talking about it was going to take longer.
Yeah, that's how I felt with John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah. That episode's over an hour, though. Yeah,
it is. They're all really stupid. Like that one lady that sold the Jeep that she was seen murdering somebody.
What really fucked me up was the Instagram post on that one. Like, there's an Instagram post of you with the gun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
You know what else is really funny about that one? Her running away from the cops.
Yeah, oh my god, that video was hilarious.
It's so ridiculous.
So stupid.
Like, how did the police even get into the scenario where that was happening?
Truly, oh my god.
I'm pretty sure I said why in the episode, but I don't remember that specific detail. But it's like
we're taking her because she said she had a medical issue.
Oh yeah, she.
And then she just tried to run away as if she was going to be faster than them with her cuffs, and she tried to like scale a wall.
Just crazy stuff that people do, like with her, like Brittany holding her hands over her head. Like,
no, really? Literally, like, she posed herself. I'm gonna show you the picture. There's a picture of her laying there, and she looks posed. I mean, that's not what they were thinking when they first looked at her, you know, because they're like, oh my god,
it's a stressful situation.
But like, you look back at this picture, and it's like she was posed.
You said the opening manager heard, like, moaning and groaning. Was that her?
That was Brittany.
Oh my god.
She was, like, moaning quietly.
Was fully acting.
And then when they tried to talk to her when they came in, like, she wasn't responsive. But then when they touched her, she flinched, and they thought it was, like, a trauma response. It was because she was faking to be, like, asleep.
Oh my god.
And hurt.
She is such a despicable person for that.
I don't know why it sent like that, but take a gander. She literally looks posed.
She literally is posed. Oh my god.
What's so crazy, this is kind of hilarious to me. So I think that before she murdered her, she was like a pretty woman. And then after she murdered, so here's a picture of before. And then after she committed the murder, she looks so crazy.
I'm looking at like the scratches on her stomach on this picture of her being all posed.
No, they're all fake.
They literally, I have cat scratches deeper than that. My rabbit,
they were all superficial.
Made me bleed harder than that. Like, are you? What is going on,
of her, man?
Girl?
Before and after being a terrible murderer person.
Let me see. Oh my god!
Literally insane.
Wow. Yeah.
And then this is the Apple employees standing at the back wall. This is from a video where you see them walk over to the wall and stand there for a couple minutes.
And they didn't call? Jesus.
Yeah. They literally walked over to the wall that they shared with Lululemon and listened.
So stupid. And didn't even call. That's why I think that
and this
they
is the shoe. The top wasn't cleaned. The top had blood on it, but the bottom was cleaned off. But that's the shoe from the store compared to the footprints that were left around the store.
And she put them back on the shelf to be sold. Oh my god.
Well, they weren't going to be sold. There was a murder in there.
Oh, they were... Well, yeah, but...
She put them on the shelf so that they wouldn't know yet that they were from inside the store. But then when they showed the pair of shoes, they were like, oh, we think the murderer was wearing these, and then put them on the shelf to, like, try to hide them for some reason. And then the manager, Rachel, was like, we sell those. Like... Those are from the store. And they were like, really?
That's so crazy to me. But, like, what if they didn't find, what if the detectives didn't
Luckily,
find
they were very thorough.
Yes, luckily. But if they weren't, theoretically, those would have potentially been sold at some point.
I think they were bloody, so I don't think they would have cleaned them and put them back on the shelf, though. Like, the top still had blood on them. Because there was blood everywhere. Yeah, this is Jaina. The first one is the picture they put on her obituary. And then I'm not sure, where these other ones took place. She looks like a
really nice, fun person.
She does, doesn't she?
She's got that kind of look.
And they were really grainy, so I didn't include them, but I saw some pictures that were, like, I think during her travels and stuff. Like, in front of, like, a big thing and just, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But they were, like, really grainy, so I didn't want to put them on here.
That's fair.
But, yeah, I mean... And she did so much in that time. Like, she was 30 years old and had done, like, an incredible amount.
It's always the people that are so accomplished and, like, beautiful people It's not fair.
Mm-hmm. And then there was
they don't deserve
some
that.
weird stuff
She
where,
didn't
like,
deserve this.
I guess that Jaina had traded shifts with somebody that night, so some people at first, before they knew that it was Brittany who had done it, they thought, like, oh, there's, like, some hit out on this other girl, and that Jaina was just at the wrong place, wrong time or something. And, like, it was, like, weird, because, like, the girl they were trying to say that the hit was out on wasn't even the girl whose shift she had taken or something. That was also, I don't have that confirmed. I just heard that in one place. So I don't know how true it is.
That's so wild. This whole thing is so wild. It's been forever since I've heard this case, so I only remembered, like, a little, like, bit of the details.
It's so
it's
insane.
Just so
it
crazy
took me
to
forever.
Think about.
Like, I feel like it took me so long to write this because I was trying to make sure I got all the details right and everything. And I didn't go into full detail of what she said happened because she did say more. But, yeah, I mean, it was stuff that it's not relevant
you just didn't
to
feel
what
like,
we need to do
fair.
here.
That's fair.
And it was literal lies, so
yeah,
I only felt the need to include the lies that were relevant.
Yeah, fair, valid.
So, it's such a sad one, and it took me forever to write, and not that long to say, apparently.
That's how I feel about the majority of my cases, too.
I felt like it was going to be a long one when I started.
The ones that have a lot of evidence.
But...
and then we get here, and it's like...
It's going to be like a normal episode.
Yeah, that's fine.
We are cool. I thought it was going to be longer.
Episodes. Eventually, as we continue to do this, we will have longer ones.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
Mm-hmm. It's just crazy how complex these stories that people come up with can be, and yet they get dismantled by literally the simplest details. Like, there's so many cases I see where it'll be like what Brittany did, and she'll have this whole, like, elaborate story of what happened, and even, like, act it out, damage yourself, like, for proof, and really, like, set up this stage. But then, like, one little detail, and the whole thing just caves in on itself.
Yeah, it's genuinely insane how much it, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
She put so much thought and effort into this.
I mean, she sat there for, an hour and came up with this idea of how to cover this up. And like, then she laid there for, like, many more hours.
Right. So she had extra time to sit and think of a story. And she constructed this really elaborate story.
Yeah. She was laying there, like, had tied herself up. Honestly, she probably just had to go along with it no matter what she thought at that point because she had tied herself up. But, like, she had to lay there and think about it. And she still did that in the morning. You know what I mean? Like, she had all this time to think, maybe I should be a better person. And she chose not to.
And didn't. And it's just so, like I said, I've already said this like 3 times, constructing such an elaborate story and building, like, the stage of, like, like, literally staging a crime. You're literally staging a crime and trying to portray yourself as the victim, but then, like, a really small detail, like, oh, these shoes, or oh, the car was moved, or oh, the inside of the hat had blood on it. Little things like that can make that whole story completely crumble.
Yeah, and I mean, I know it was a towaway zone, but if
So
she hadn't
crazy
moved
to
the
me.
car, it would have been more convincing.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't need to do that. All you did was put more evidence in there.
Exactly.
So she really, I mean, I'm glad that she did dig herself into that hole. But she really dug herself into a hole with that.
She really, really did.
Like,
really did.
I don't know. She had them convinced at first, but it didn't take them that long to, like, figure it out. I think it was, like, within a week she was arrested.
Good.
So
that's good. We like to hear that.
Yeah, I mean,
we don't like to hear they wait, like 30 years, like they did with John Wayne Gacy.
Oh my god.
I don't think it was actually 30 years. It was a lot of years. Too many.
6.
It was six
since he started
same
murdering, thing. Not including the assaults beforehand.
I was gonna say, like, he had previous crimes that they should have kept him in jail for, but didn't because of good behavior.
Yeah, so stupid.
So, those police suck. These police were very diligent with their jobs, and they were good with their jobs.
Yeah,
so
I mean, and originally the first guy that was like, I don't know, she might not be telling the truth. Originally, they're all like, no way. You know? Right. So, like, if he hadn't, like, said this idea, and then his boss was like, let's look into it, you know? Maybe we should go with your idea. Then who knows? Right. Like, exactly. If they would have looked as deep into it as they did.
I don't know. Maybe if some Apple employees could have just dialed
literally.
A couple numbers on their phone.
They had so much time to do it.
Because at this point,
she was getting murdered for like 20 minutes. They had plenty of time. They were in an Apple store. They were surrounded by phones.
They were surrounded by phones. Like,
they had. I'm certain that they all had iPhones. Like. It would have been so easy.
They all had a smartphone at the very least. And if they didn't have a smartphone, they had a flip phone. And you can call 911 on a flip phone pretty quickly.
Well, and it's 2011 and they work at an Apple store. I genuinely believe they had smartphones. Their security guard had an iPod. Like,
and was listening to music on the job.
I don't think he was even like a regular Apple employee. He was just hired because they had the release.
He probably got fired very shortly after that.
Yeah, I think they all hopefully did. I didn't look too far into them.
Did. I don't like to wish ill will on people like that.
Here's the thing, is like, you should, like, how can you trust somebody who does that to manage your store? They were both managers.
Exactly.
How can you trust those people to manage your merchandise? They don't call when they hear somebody saying, God help me. How are they going to protect your merchandise? They didn't even protect a person's life. You think they're going to protect your little phones?
Not gonna.
I'm just saying. And I wouldn't blame them for not protecting phones, but they should protect a person's life.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I just don't get it.
I don't either, and that's one of the parts of this case that really, really bugs me, because it could have literally been prevented by bystanders, and also, they just chose not to.
Yeah, I am going to post the things that I showed you, but there are more pictures that I saw that I'm not going to post that are of, like, all of the blood.
Ugh,
and and there's like a police officer like measuring how high up on the wall it goes up like 6 feet on the wall.
My God,
and the hallway literally is just drenched in blood, the whole hallway.
Oh, that's so
disgusting.
It's just, that's so brutal.
So brutal. Like,
over
and she tried to plead insanity and stuff. Like, her brother was trying to say, like, could we say temporary insanity sort of thing? And it's just like...
Not over leggings, you cannot. No, you cannot.
And it wasn't temporary insanity. It was, like...
It was
hours leggings. And hours. It was actually days, because you also kept this up afterwards. It was over days leggings. Of insanity. That's not temporary.
Over leggings.
Genuinely so unnecessary. So, I'm just mad at her. And I think that even, like... Even from, like, an objective point of view... After committing the murder, she is ugly. Like, even if you didn't know that she committed murder, she looks crazy in this picture.
Yeah.
Her hair is so nappy.
Her hairline is crusty. Like, literally.
Literally. Why does it look like that?
It's literally crusty. Probably because she's in prison and can't take care of her hair properly.
But, like, the switch up is crazy.
The switch up is crazy.
And, like, Jaina wasn't even gonna do it. Like, she wasn't even... the person you need to be worried about. Like, she's not the person who chooses if you get fired. And also, like, she's doing her job. And, like, you were stealing. You were doing that. And
you were doing something wrong.
Probably wouldn't have had, like, any consequences. Almost also, any at all.
If you're stealing from the store you work at, eventually you're gonna get caught. Because you literally spend hours upon hours upon hours a day with these people.
And, like, hopefully, I mean... It's 2024 now, so I think that almost every place, if not every place, has cameras now. So
I've seen a few that don't.
Yeah, it's not as common anymore, though. Like, Lululemon is a luxury store. And especially after this, I'm sure they all have cameras now. But Oh, I forgot to say another thing. They put up these like stained glass windows above the door in honor of Jaina at the store.
That's lovely.
And then they
That's
moved
beautiful.
locations. So when they moved locations, they took those stained glass windows down and gave them to her family.
Oh my goodness, that's so sweet.
And I looked them up to see pictures, and it was so pretty. There was one that like said love on it.
Oh,
It was
I
very
love
beautiful.
that. That's beautiful. That is really beautiful.
And her family was like so grateful because they're like, this is like honoring her. This is beautiful. And like the fact that they did that was just beautiful too.
Yeah, I love that. That
And then
makes
not
me
only did
really
they do
happy
that,
to
but then
hear.
when they moved, rather than like take it down and just like take it down with everything else, they actually gave it to her family. Like the care put into that is just, it's
top
nice.
notch. It's really nice.
I can't imagine having to go back to work in that store afterwards, though. It's honestly, I'm surprised it didn't take them longer to move.
But I'm sure that a lot of people did quit after.
Yeah, especially probably Rachel,
that's
because
terrible.
she loved those employees so much. And I saw something say that like Jaina was one of her like close friends even. So I can't imagine.
It would be terrible.
Yeah.
And it was terrible. But I'm glad that she got some beautiful stained glass pieces for her family to remember her by. That's really beautiful and touching.
Yeah. I wish it hadn't happened, but at the very least, you know, Brittany got caught and there's so much love spread.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. The people that loved her really loved her.
Yeah.
And it shows. And it's just beautiful to see how much love people can hold for one another. But unfortunately, this was really tragic.
Well, and I mean, with what we do with this podcast, we see a lot of the, like, people being absolutely morally inept sort of thing. So, you got to remember that there's that other side of it, you know, the coin flip there, where there are these beautiful, loving, caring people. Unfortunately, sometimes they're the ones who are getting murdered. But
most of the time.
A lot of the time, it seems like. But, I mean, just goes to show, like, that those people are out there, too. Her family is still out there, you know, spreading love. The people that she worked with, other than Brittany, obviously, are still out there.
Brittany doesn't count.
Yeah. She only worked there a month. She was barely an employee.
Exactly. She doesn't count.
All right. Well, that's all I've got, I think. I can't think of anything else. I didn't have anything else written down, so.
I've already repeated myself about 14 times today.
We're good with that, I think. All
so
right.
I don't need to say anymore.
All right. So then I guess we will bring this episode to a close. So
Indeed.
Sorry for the delay in this one. It was my bad.
Life happens.
This case just took me forever.
And some of us work retail and get scheduled in a new position. That is rough.
Between like me not being ready and then your hours, it was just like, let's push this back a little bit.
I have more hours than Kyle, and he's supposed to be working full time.
What the heck?
I have more hours than him.
You gotta have a chat with him about that.
It's crazy. Well, it's not 40, so for some reason he's only getting 32, and I'm getting 36. So it's like it's not that many more than him, but I'm still getting more than him.
That's like a whole shift more.
Hired in. I know. He got hired into a full-time position,
hours,
so why am I getting more hours as a part-timer? You know?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Well, hopefully you get some more
anyway,
time off,
I digress.
So we can figure this out. We can, you know, work around schedules. We might have to change the day things come out on if that's what we have to do. That's not a problem.
We'll figure it out. It's not a huge
NBD
setback. NBD.
All right. We will see everybody next week on an undetermined date.
Yeah.
I don't know
but it's my week.
But it will be out at some point next week.
I'm sure it will be a treat because my episodes, you know.
All right. Well, I can't wait to see what you do next week then.
Yes. I'll see you next week.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.